Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, councillors and staff. Welcome to our council meeting. Begin by acknowledging the traditional owners on the land on which we gather today, the Whadjuk Noongar people, and we offer our respect for their leaders past, present and emerging. The City of Swan disclaims any liability for any loss arising from any person or body relying on any statement, discussion, recommendation or decision made during this meeting. Where an application for an approval, a licence or the like is considered or determined during this meeting, the City warns that neither the applicant nor any other person or body should rely upon the discussion or determination until written notice of either an approval and the conditions which relate to it or the refusal of the application has been issued by the City. Please note that this meeting is being live streamed. The recording will also be archived and made available on the City's website after the meeting. If you choose to participate in the meeting during public question time or public statement time, it is assumed that your consent has been given for the audio to be recorded. Please keep your comments respectful to the Council and other members of the community. Visual images of the public will not be captured. Conditions of entry: no electronic, visual or audio recording or transmitting device or instrument is permitted to be used. A person who breaches this provision of the City of Swan Meeting Procedures Local Law 2019 will be required to immediately leave the premises. Attendance's apologies. I have no leave of absence. Mr CEO.
Apologies this evening, Mr Mayor, is from Councillor Johnson and also Councillor Scanlon.
Okay, thank you. Declarations of financial and proximity interest and interests affecting impartiality. Are there any other than those declared at the agenda forum?
Mr Mayor, we have one further one from Councillor Lucas. It's in relation to item C1.1 of the Ladies Only Day at the City of Swan Leisure Centres. It's an impartiality interest from Councillor Lucas, and the reason is joining the Swan Active Leisure Centre.
Okay. Any other declarations from either councillors or staff? No. Now move to public question time. Questions and answers recorded in the minutes of the meeting may be summarised in accordance with the Local Government Administration Regulations of 1996. Questions and answers marked with an asterisk have been amended for either the purpose of summarising, either removing preamble statements, etc., or for editing. 5.1 is questions to which due notice has been given. Questions taken from Mr Baku, Mr Aaron Bowman and Mr Karen Mowat and Ms Naomi Jenkins are included in the agenda. Following in the green folder are the responses to questions from Ms Naomi Jenkins. 5.2, questions relating to reports on the agenda. 5.2.1, questions for which due notice has been given, I have nil. Question 5.2.2, questions without due notice, and I have questions from Mr Aaron Bowman. Mr Bowman, I just will remind you that given your experience in local government, I'm sure you know the difference between questions and public statement. So I will ask you to state your questions.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Some of these may need just a little bit of clarification to get to the question. Mr Mayor, there's a lot of criticism and concern with how Council currently has and continues to change the valuations of rates. This is in reference to 6.2 within the City of Swan in semi-rural areas. Brigadoon being a prime example, and I understand areas of Bullsbrook as well. The report provided to you and the councillors in this agenda, does it provide you with all the information needed to make a fully informed decision and in accordance with the best practice as recommended in the Local Government Non-Urban Valuation Review Committee report published in 2001?
You asking me or the whole council?
Well, Mr Mayor, you are representing the council as presiding member, so...
Well, in that case, I would say I believe so. Your next question, and you are getting a bit long-winded, but...
The report for item 6.2 in the financial section states the following. A change in the method of valuation from GRV to UV will impact the City's rates revenue dependent upon the valuation provided by the Valuers General Office. It is concerning that neither the author of the report, management or any member of the executive team seems to show any concern with the lack of financial information provided in this report to enable you and the council to make a fully informed decision. Will you request, so as to improve the City's governance, that a process is put in place whereby staff will be required for all future requests of a change in basis of valuation that they must liaise with the VG to obtain an indication of a notional value, so this council can be fully understand the financial impact that any change will have, not only on the local government but also, more importantly, the ratepayer, which is recommended process to follow and best practice?
Take your question on notice.
Question 3. Mr Mayor, why are the sporting facilities for many of our sporting clubs, not only in Bullsbrook, Averley and Ellenbrook, but the rest of the city, are not up to par when I compare these to similar sporting clubs located outside the city of Swan? They are in fact significantly smaller clubs. I've alluded to some already previously, but for tonight I provide the examples of the Ellenbrook Vipers Rugby Union Club and the Ellenbrook Rabbitohs Rugby League Club.
Take your question on notice.
Number 4. Mr Mayor, has the focus of maintaining our rural roads in the City of Swan during the last 4 years become less of a priority for this council, or is it because there is less money to spend on maintaining these roads due to many examples of waste that not only have I, but many other concerned ratepayers questioned over the last 4 years, and we continue to question?
Take your question on notice.
And my final question, Mr Mayor, because I don't think I'll get any more tonight. Mr Mayor, does this council acknowledge and accept there are some significant antisocial issues that must be immediately addressed in the Ellenbrook area?
Take your question on notice.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Is there anyone else in the public gallery who wish to ask a question on relating to items on the agenda? No. We move to 5.3. Other questions?
I presume item 5.3 will be brought forward shortly.
Yeah, I believe you're listed a little bit further down the list, Mr Troy. I have questions which were submitted by Mr Bob Baku, Mrs Teresa Bailey, Mrs Sarah Howlett, Mrs Naomi Jenkins, and those questions have all been answered. The following people are registered to ask questions. Firstly, Mr Mark Church, sorry. Mr Church, if you're with us.
Does Council know how many kangaroos survived in the first 12 months of being relocated from a development site?
I'll take your question on notice.
When was the last time road traffic counts were conducted on Vines Avenue, Hermitage Drive and Ellenbrook Drive? And do we have statistics for these?
Mr Coates, do you know that, or we should take it on notice?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Okay, I'll take your question on notice.
And thank you. Final question. Has Council undertaken any previous studies on any fauna and flora located in the Vines suburb, and if so, what was it used for?
I'll take your question on notice, Mr Church.
Thank you.
Thank you. Also listed today is Miss Christine Jones. Miss Jones is with us. Thank you.
Mr Mayor and councillors, is Council aware that the Vines Residents Association has recently convened and that at the recent AGM of the VRA over more than 400 people were in attendance?
Yes, we are, Ms Jones, and I for one am very pleased to see that organisation has reinvigorated itself after being stagnant for a long period of time.
My second question, do councillors and staff have any concerns with the survey currently being conducted by Hatch Day on behalf of the Vines that many are saying is biased or misleading?
Well, Ms Church, I can answer at this point in time, Council have received nothing in terms of anything on that proposal that the owners of the Vines have put forward to the community. So we're pretty much null and void in terms of any proposal or any application for them at all.
My final question is, have any of the councillors received any phone calls or emails from concerned residents and or ratepayers regarding the proposed development in the Vines?
I think we probably all have, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next to ask questions, Mr Sam Ateshnavas. I hope I said your name correctly.
Mr Mayor, is it true that a few years ago at a public meeting regarding the Rose Hill Golf Course, whilst you were a councillor, whose ward then included the Vines, that a question was put to you regarding if something similar could ever happen to the Vines? Your response was that you would never support selling off any part of the Vines Golf Course for housing.
I think the thing you may refer to was a meeting of what was then the Vines Ratepayers Association at a time of the application for Rose Hill being considered, and while it was a long time ago, it's possible.
Mr Mayor, do you still hold this view, or have you now changed your mind?
Well, I've seen nothing to even consider at this point in time.
Question 3. Mr Mayor, whilst you are still the Mayor, will you do everything within your powers as the presiding member of this council to ensure that this council does not support the sell-off of the golf course and the driving range for development?
Well, there are 15 councillors here and they're all going to make up their own mind, so, I can't tell them what to do.
And last question. Mr. Mayor, can you advise the amount of money wasted and explain why, about a month ago, the City of Swan planted new street trees to complement existing street trees down the left-hand side of Chateau Place as you're travelling into the Vines? These trees were in line with existing trees and greatly increased the visual amenity of the entrance to the Vines. Curiously, about 2 weeks ago, all these new trees disappeared and the holes where the trees had been was then filled up. Following on from communication from residents, a member of the Vines Residents Association called to investigate and was told by the City of Swan that these trees were planted by mistake and that they have been removed because they are under power lines.
I can't, but Mr. Coaten, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and last but not least, Mr. Gavin Troy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have two questions, and they relate to your minutes of this council on the 11th of December 2019 under item 2.1, where managing growth in the City of Swan and an associated residential land monitoring discussion paper of November 2019 were addressed. Question 1. Page 4, para 3 of the discussion paper states, to protect the capacity for population growth, vacant and underutilised urban land that can be serviced and is located in proximity to activity centres, transit corridors and or areas of amenity should be identified as a priority for increased density. My question, Mr. Mayor, can the Council advise myself and many interested residents if Council considers the Vines could be included in such a description following your resolution in response to that item 2.1, managing growth in the City of Swan?
Mr. Vanderlyn, can you answer that, or you want to take it on notice? Okay, thank you.
My second question, I refer to the same article. I refer to the full resolution of Council at that same item 2.1, managing growth in the City of Swan. Has Council supported or approved any scheme amendment or development application for greenfield or infill development within the City not included in the listings nominated in that discussion paper or in the associated report provided to Council at the time of that December 2019 resolution?
Mr. Vanderlyn,
Take that on notice.
take it on notice. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Troy.
I have
Another one.
one further matter, sir, that involves yourself and my discussions earlier this morning. I have read with interest your item C13, which relates to the Robinson Road issue in Bellevue. I have supplied some amendments. I am concerned that the current statements made in that document will indicate to the government that you are aware that they have the final position. If you're trying to negotiate with the government, you don't give away any grounds from the offset. Mr. Mayor, I ask you to closely examine the document I've sent with regard to not only the recommendations but also the officer's comment, because I think it's weakening your position as it is stated.
Thank you, Mr. Troy. Anyone in our gallery wish to ask any further questions of a general nature? Yes, Mr. Kerr. For the minutes clerk, this is Mr. David Carr.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First question. Was a public open space concession provided to the Vines development many years ago for the reason that there was the provision of the golf course?
I'm pretty sure we'll have to take that one on notice.
Okay. Next question. Do any councillors, executive or staff in the Planning Directorate have any association with the Vines Resort and or any of its owners, directors or senior management that would be considered a conflict of interest, and how this has been managed previously and how it will be managed with the current proposal when submitted to the Council?
I would say not to my knowledge, Mr Kerr, but
Carl.
if it does turn up, then I'm sure anyone put that up, although I must admit I played some pretty bad golf there from time to time. Councillor Lucas.
Mr Mayor, I believe my 15-year-old granddaughter works part-time waiting at one of the venues in the Vines. So if that's a conflict of interest, I'll have to take further advice on that, but I'm just putting it out there now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
Yes. Third one. What are the ramifications of filling in a lake and building houses on it?
I think I have to take that one on notice.
And following on from that, much like the retainer wall incident in Ellenbrook, if a house that is built over a reclaimed lake starts to crack, who is liable and who is responsible for the rectification costs?
Take it on notice. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to ask a question of a general nature? No, thank you. Now move on to public statement time, and I have 4 people registered to make a public statement. Ms Christine Hughes was listed. I understand she is now an apology, so that takes us to 6.2, which is Ms Sarah Howlett in regards to parking at St Jude's Hostel in Guildford. You have
Good evening,
2 minutes,
everybody.
Ms Howlett, as you well know.
Yep, okay. We have a problem. The sugar gums at Fortinroy Park are under threat. At the heart of this problem are the proposed 10 car bays at St Jude's development. The construction of these car bays will damage the roots of these trees and jeopardise their future. Parking under the sugar gums was approved by Council in December 2019 as part of the original development application. This DA approval breaks the agreement that the City made with the community in 1999, one the City commemorated with a plaque only 10 years later. These car bays should never have been approved. And what agreement did the City break? In 1999, after many years of fighting, the City of Swan acknowledged the significance of the sugar gums to Guildford and the community and agreed to a program of ongoing maintenance for the existing trees plus replanting of new sugar gums. The City gifted a park bench located at Stirling Square to the community in recognition of their involvement in saving these trees, and on the 10th anniversary of the agreement, 2009 was designated the Year of the Sugar Gum by the Guildford Association. The City's then Mayor, Charlie Zanino, unveiled a commemorative plaque next to the bench, both of which are still there today, with the agreement clearly etched into the stone. In fact, Mayor Zanino even planted a sugar gum in Fortinroy Park that year. So what now? It appears we are at a stalemate. The St Jude's architect heard the community and agreed to move the 10 parking bays, yet he understands this could only be achieved if the City issued an instruction to relocate the car bays. The City stated it cannot change the parking arrangements without an application to modify the DA by the landowner. In all honesty, how can you expect the community to believe what you say when you have turned your back on your own agreement, on your own words made 20 years ago and reaffirmed by etching those words in stone 10 years later? You are the local authority, you are in control, and you make the decisions. You can protect these trees, honour your agreement, and win back the trust of your community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Howlett. Our next public statement is, thank you, Mr Timothy Howling in regard to item 4.2, which is a responsible authority report, proposed childcare premise at number 7 Sam Rosa Place in Dayton. Mr Howling, you too have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thank you, councillors. I act for landowners at 68 Cranley Street as solicitor. It is in reference to item 4.2 of your agenda, the proposed childcare centre. My client informs me that she was not notified of the agenda meeting held, and so there may be matters that I'm raising with you for the first time. There was, in fact, a 7-page submission which was provided to the council by my client. She says that at least within 1 kilometre of this particular location, the childcare centre, there is another childcare centre. She says that in respect of that particular childcare centre, there are a number of impacts on the amenity surrounding which have not been properly taken into account by the responsible officer's report to the Metro Development Panel. The residential amenity of this locality will be impacted by the proposed childcare centre. It's not included within the structure plan. Its intensification is noted, and the traffic impacts are wildly understated within the report provided to you in respect of its impact. And that's because the method by which traffic is calculated is quite different from the way in which people do arrive at childcare centres. Although on a technical basis one might assume that you could calculate the amount of traffic arriving at a childcare centre in the manner that's provided within the supporting report, this is not in fact the way in which people use childcare facilities, with many more people arriving at one time than what is provided for within the report. Additionally, noise is not properly taking into account doors closing and slamming. It does detract from the streetscape. It is better suited to a neighbourhood and commercial centre as opposed to the centre where it is, or the proposed location where it is within the middle of a residential area. Accordingly, Mr Mayor, we ask that the Council take the report back, reconsider whether or not it's going to suggest a recommendation for approval to the Metro Out Development Assessment Panel, take into account the fact that the traffic study grossly underestimates the proposed future impacts on traffic and amenity within this location, and not support the proposed development of a childcare centre in the location proposed. Finally, in respect of development approval conditions, we note that there is no suggestion about fencing around the noise-making facilities on the site, such as the air conditioning and the like, which is included within the report, and there is no condition relevant to signage.
Thank you, Mr Howling.
Notwithstanding, we ask that you do not approve the proposed development.
Okay. Next to speak is Mr Justin Smith, who wishes to speak on item 4.7. Mr Smith.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. We missed last week's meeting. I wonder if we can get referred to the next general meeting at the first of the month, if possible.
Okay. I think one of the councillors is going to try and deal with that later. Okay. Anything else you wish to add?
No, just we feel that someone said no to it already, and we need to know why when there's others in the streets who've got the same width or bigger than what we've asked for. That's all.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's the end of public statement times. I now move to petitions. I have two petitions registered. Firstly, one from Mr Aaron Bowmans.
Mr Mayor, under section 5.28 of the Local Government Act, the electors of the City of Swans, whose names, addresses and signatures are set out in the attached list and comprise over 100 electors, 489 to be exact, request that a special meeting of electors of the district be held. The details of the matters to be discussed at the special meeting are the Vines WA proposed master plan, which includes the removal of 9 holes of golf course, provision of extra housing, senior lifestyle living, loss of habitat for wildlife, impact of the above proposal will have on the surrounding communities. And Mr Mayor, I'm the lead petitioner in that, and I submit it for your attention.
Thank you. You can submit that. Thank you. Okay, the next petition is from Miss Tina Hamilton.
Good evening, Mr Mayor and councillors. My name is Tina Hamilton. I'm here tonight representing the residents of Chestnut Street, Gum Grove, and always forget, Claymore Close, apologies. And I'll simply like to read out the leading statement from our petition that we wish to present. We, the undersigned, hereby petition the City of Swan to amend local laws and request subsequent actions as outlined herein, in order to resolve the ongoing matter of unsafe, dangerous and illegal parking that is occurring on Chestnut Street, inclusive of the median strip in Guildford.
Thank you. Accept those petitions. There are no deputations. I now go to... Are there any other petitions while we're here? None. Thank you. Announcements by myself, and I have a couple. Firstly, the City has received news that our newly constructed Malaga Waste Transfer Station has been awarded the Master Builders of Western Australia Best Industrial Building in a $1.5 to $5 million award category. We recognise and thank the dedicated staff of the City of Swan who delivered this project well ahead of schedule and to an evidently high standard. Congratulations there. Also, today marks the start of Donate Week, an opportunity to raise awareness of organ and tissue donation and encourage our community to become an organ donor. For anyone wishing to do that can log on to www.donatelife.gov.au. And finally, I wish to express our condolences to the family of Freeman of the City, Mrs Margaret Kidson. Margaret passed away on the 14th of July after battling a long illness. Margaret was a passionate and committed member of our community, having served on council for almost 14 years, including a period as Shire President. Margaret was the first and only Shire President or Mayor of this council, and her determination has encouraged others to follow her. May her energy and enthusiasm live on through the work of this and future councils. Also, just for noting, councillors, that Friday is United Nations International Day of Friendship. Just a reminder there. Now move on to...
Excuse me, Mr Mayor, do we need to forward the petitions to the CEO for a report?
Yep, they will be reported to the CEO, and in regards to the special meeting, we'll set a date at some time in the future within the 35-day limit. Thank you. Now we go to 10 members' questions. I have questions from Councillor Johnson, for which due notice was taken on notice, have been answered. Further questions which due notice was given. There are a number of other questions, 9 of which have been answered and 2 which have been taken on notice. 10.3, a question for which due notice has not been given, from Councillor Johnson. Both those questions have been answered. Are there any questions from councillors? Councillor Kelano.
Thanks very much. This is regarding my question at the last agenda forum about a payment of approximately $9,000 to Jackson McDonald Lawyers made on 28th of June 2021. I've been advised by staff that part of the legal advice requested was about whether lots owned by the city in the Midland Oval redevelopment precinct could be sold without bringing the proposed or each of the proposed sales to council. So my question tonight is, who requested this advice from Jackson McDonald, and whose direction was this advice requested?
Ms Lay, Mr Vanderlind.
Mr Mayor, on the first question, obviously the request to Jackson McDonald was done by the by staff, who requested it. I'll have to take that on notice and make sure exactly where it came from.
Oh, thank you. So will you be able to email me? Yes, because that's there was an issue about transparency in that, I thought, and I'd just like to know.
Your further question, Councillor?
Yes, thank you. And my other question is, has the city obtained a report, a comprehensive and consolidated report, identifying risks, and this is future risks, to people, property and the environment, and I mean those people and that property and the environment in the City of Swan for the next 20 years? And I'm talking about risks. Have we ever had a report prepared, and have we got one that identifies those risks?
We'll take that one on notice, thank you.
You mean you don't know? We don't know if we've got a report?
We'll take it on notice. Yep. There's a bit in that, so we'll take it on notice, thank you.
Surely there would be a report that we'd know if we have one.
Well, Councillor, I'm taking it on notice, so we'll get back to you on that information. So you got a further question?
I am surprised by that, I must say.
That's fine. Have you got another question?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. Any other councillors with a question? Councillor Richardson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Do you currently have a Working with Children form?
No.
And is it a requirement of councillors to have a Working with Children form?
Not to my knowledge.
Put that to staff.
Mr CEO?
Further question, Mr Mayor?
Any staff may require Working with Children.
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor. I mean, there is staff that would require working with children forms, and they would be predominantly within the forward-facing service provision areas within community services within Mr Bishop's division.
Currently, all councillors aren't required to have working with children. Is that correct?
Not a requirement, no, to my knowledge.
Thank you.
Any further questions, councillors? No. Leave of absence, Mr CEO.
Mr Mayor, we have one leave of absence, and it's from Councillor Jones, and it's for the period of 29th of the 7th through until the 10th of the 8th inclusive.
Okay. Any further leave requests? Can I move that that leave be accepted? Moved to Councillor Parry, seconded to Councillor Lucas. Anyone against? Declare that carried. Confirmation of the minutes. The resolution required to confirm the minutes of the 7th of July 2021 meeting. Can I have a move that those minutes be accepted? Moved Councillor Congdon, seconded Councillor Parry. Is anyone against? Carried. No business remaining. Councillors, we now go to the item Part B, and I have currently 3 items withdrawn, which is item 3.2, 4.11 and 5.1. Councillor Badalwi, are you going to try and withdraw another one? Just let me know which one. 4.7. Okay, councillors, of the remaining items that are not withdrawn, can I have a move that they be moved? Moved to Councillor McCulloch, seconded Councillor Parry. Is anyone against? Declare those carried. Now move to the first item, councillors, which is item 3.2, the draft desktop heritage assessment for properties nominated for 2020. And Councillor Scanlon is not here, and I believe Councillor Podovnik, you're moving that motion.
So the motion is that Council resolve to defer consideration of this matter to a future Council meeting to enable staff to investigate further and, where appropriate, correct any anomalies noted in the summaries provided relating to 34 and 22 Byers Road and 41 Sayers Street in Midland. And the reason for the motion is inaccuracies in this heritage document have been flagged by the Midland Society, who want extra time to provide more information to City staff before this document is released for public comment.
Seconded, Councillor Kiley. Is anyone against? Declare that carried. Okay. Yep, nice. Thank you. So it's for those in the gallery, thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Those items that have not been drawn have been carried as per the officer's recommendation. Now move to item 5.1, which is the Marshall Road duplication, Beachborough Road north of Drumpelia, and is there error on my sheet? Okay, you got them back to front. Okay. I've got them in the wrong order in my folder, Councillor. So back to 4.11, which is proposed shed and home business at lot 101, number 54, Forest Road, Henley Brook. And Councillor Henderson.
Thank you, Mayor. I move the Council resolve to 1. Accept the advice of the Swan Valley Planning Committee and refuse the proposed shed at lot 101, number 54, Forest Road, Henley Brook, for the following reasons. 1. The bulk of the proposed shed, by virtue of its height, will have an adverse impact on the rural character and amenity of the locality. 2. The area within the shed to be used for warehouse distributors of prepackaged prices for retail, proposed packaging of bulk spices, is 92.7 square metres and therefore is considered to render the use of the shed as a warehouse as defined under the City's local planning scheme number 17, and as such use is not permitted within the Swan Valley rural zone applicable to the land.
Can I have a seconder? Seconded, Councillor Zanino. Is anyone against? Declare that carried. Now go to item 4.7, which is the overwidth driveway at lot 39 Grampians Avenue, Janebrook, and Councillor Podovnik.
Okay, so the motion is that Council defer consideration of this item until the August Council meeting to enable the applicant more time to consult with their ward councillors and any other councillors and explain why they require this driveway.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Seconded, Councillor Nino. Is anyone against? Carried. We now go to 5.1, which is a Marshall Road duplication from Beachborough North to Drampelia, and Councillor Kiley.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors, my motion is to defer consideration of this item until a future meeting of Council to allow time for officers and councillors to meet with affected property owners whose access to their property will be affected by this proposal, plus to consider other issues that might arise.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Okay, I've got a secondary. Councillor Parry. Councillor Congdon, you've got an amendment.
Accepted.
Is that right, the mover?
And well picked up. Thank you.
Seconder? Okay. In that case? No, it's the next ordinary meeting of Council. Okay. Is there anyone against? We'll declare that carried. That takes care of everything in that part. We now move to Part C. And given that the first three are for mine, I'll hand over to the Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Part C, motions which previous notice has been given. Councillor Bailey, C 1.1, Ladies Only Day at City of Swan Leisure Centres. Councillor Bailey.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Councillors, I move to request the CEO to prepare a report to Council on a proposal of introducing ladies-only sessions at the City of Swan Leisure Centres.
You second it, Councillor Kiley? Yes. Have anyone against? I do. You've got 5 minutes for your debate, Mr Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Councillors, our leisure centres currently are open to everybody that wishes to use them at any given time. However, there are some cultural sensitivities here which exclude some of our population, and we need to help accommodate for them. So what I'm simply asking the CEO to do is to prepare a report that allows for time of some nature and any time during the week where those people within our population, whether they be for religious beliefs or otherwise, have the opportunity to use our aquatic centres particularly free of the inhibitions that they may have. It's simply a request to make that open at certain times of the week for a number of hours for those members of our community that currently feel or are restricted by either religious beliefs or their own beliefs from our aquatic centres. So, Councillor, I just ask you for a report on how that can be accommodated for those members of our community.
Thank you. Second to Councillor Kiley.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillors, I encourage you to support this motion. I think it's a great opportunity for the city to shine, really, if we can look at providing this service to sections of the community that may feel somewhat embarrassed about getting into a swimsuit, for example, or some gym equipment. I note that the report looks at a day, but I would suggest that maybe a few hours might do in the morning or of the evening, and maybe we can change it around at different times, sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon, to suit the needs of the community. But I think this is a positive step in providing for the needs of the community. So I encourage you to support this motion. It is just a report at the moment, and let's look at what the report says. I assume that it'll be done in-house. We're not looking to put it out for a consultant to spend any money. So let's see what the staff come up with here and see what we can offer. Thank you.
Thank you. Speakers against the motion. Councillor Congdon.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Look, it's one of these. This is an area where you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. There will be some parts of the population would say you're maybe a misogynist, who knows what the commentary might contain. My worry about the report being asked for isn't descriptive or prescriptive enough to provide commentary into the report, such as the Mayor indicated a day. The seconder indicated possibly an hour or 2 hours. So who's going to be the driver of that report and decide what type of hours or days and across what sector of all of the leisure centres are going to be taken into consideration? There's a number of other issues that the report may or may not contain, which is the leisure centre loss of activities to allow a limited number to utilise the facility. There's also the notion of CCTV that's used in the facilities to protect patrons in the facilities. So I don't know how that's going to be deemed, and if there is CCTV in parts of the leisure centre, is who's going to access the CCTV vision if something should happen. There is issues about people being identified coming into the building. There's a whole raft of issues that I'm not sure how the CEO is going to prepare a report unless he's going to ask the staff to come up with a whole raft of things to be included in the report. We had a bit of a straw poll, I'll get it right, not a straw poll, a poll straw, with some friends at dinner. And I would say to you that overwhelmingly there was no to this. They felt that we shouldn't be opening up our leisure centres or defining our leisure centres for a specific race, creed, religion or otherwise. And we need to continue the way we do now, which is provide a leisure centre for all of our residents and not restricting it. So unless there's something that can be done in this report to be able to determine a whole raft of questions out of this, I can't support it.
Thank you. Speaker for the motion. Question, Councillor Catalano.
Are we also going to think about men-only days, men-only sessions?
Well, it's not part of the motion, so it's not being considered. Speaker for the motion. Question, Councillor Prodovnik.
The report, I'm assuming, and can the CEO please confirm this, that it will actually cover a whole range of options and look at everything that Councillor Congerton has raised?
Mr Bishop, through you, Mr CEO.
Through you, Mr Mayor. Our understanding is that the intent of the motion is for potentially closing access for up to a day, but yes, based on the discussion, we would be looking at presenting options to Council, because obviously that will give more opportunity to consider different pathways if Council wishes to pursue that path.
Question, Councillor Congerton, followed by Councillor Richardson.
Sorry, through to Mr Bishop. Would the report also contain the data that relates around the possibilities of numbers attending the centre and the loss of numbers that will be prohibited in the centre?
Mr Bishop.
Through you, Mr Deputy Mayor, that's correct. Yes, we would make our best endeavours to estimate the impact on current members, current patronage that wouldn't be able to access versus current demand in this space.
Councillor Richardson, do you have a question?
Yes, Mr Mayor. You've consulted with some community members who've requested this. Is it based on women and young females only?
Yes.
And have you looked into the possibility? I've looked at and contacted various swimming pools across Perth. Have you, or how do you, how are you planning to, without closing the entire facility for the day, perhaps screen or use a particular pool?
The motion is to request a report, Councillor.
But you must have some ideas already, rather than shutting the entire pool.
Well, I'm asking the office to prepare a report on how we can accommodate that. So whether that's for a couple of hours on any particular day, whichever we can accommodate our people.
Councillor Kiley, have a question?
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just want to see if we can get some clarification. And councillors might note that the report we've got in front of us looks at a day, whereas the report on the screen looks at a session. So I just want clarification that we're talking about sessions rather than a day.
On the screen, Councillor.
Deputy Mayor?
Well, the session could be as long as a day. I don't know.
But it's for sessions, not for a day.
But how long's the session? That's what I'm saying. Thank you. Speakers for the motion, speakers against the motion. Councillor McNamara.
Mr. Mayor, on the subject of sessions, are the sessions, the question to the mover is, are the sessions on a daily basis, a weekly basis, or a monthly basis proposed? That's the first question.
The report, Councillor.
No, the report is for only sessions. Is the proposal that the sessions be on a daily basis, a weekly basis, or a monthly basis?
I'm asking the office to prepare a report on how those sessions could be accommodated, Councillor, being mindful of everybody's uses and how many sessions where and how will be part of that report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Right.
So you're now speaking against the motion? Or you
I'm speaking against the motion, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
I'll start my time at the end.
With regard to the seniors of everywhere, and excluding religion, excluding all other issues from the point of view of racism and all of that type of stuff, practicality, are we going to allow sessions for seniors? Are we going to allow sessions if they're required and if they're asked by footy clubs, soccer clubs, little athletics, ladies basketball, ladies netball? Where will it stop? It won't stop anywhere. So we are dealing with ratepayers' money from the point of view of 100% of the money that built these facilities were supplied by everybody across the board from the point of view, excluding religion and all other issues from the point of view of the community. The community supplied the funds for this. Let the community enjoy it. Let the community have access to it. If ladies want to hire the facility, let them apply to Mr. Mark and let them apply for hiring. Fantastic. That can be facilitated. So, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry but I have to disagree with this situation. We've gone through this many, many moons ago. Many councils and local government associations have gone through this situation, and they've invariably decided against it. It's ratepayers' money, community money, and the community are entitled to use these facilities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Speaker for the motion. Your amendment, Councillor Richardson. What's your amendment?
That we change the word ladies to women. Is
that acceptable to...
And also to define if it's for multicultural reasons. Which women are we referring to? Will it be open to any women, or are we opening it to specific multicultural groups and young female children?
I'm happy to take any lady's interest, but the predominant issue is here the exclusion of multicultural. I'm happy to surmise that in my wrap-up.
Well, we need the motion,
Specific
so you're
wording.
happy to change the word ladies to women?
Yeah, no issue.
And that acceptable to the seconder?
It is, but not the second part.
So if
To
you
add
wanna,
in,
if
to
you wanna
define
push-
if it's multicultural.
If you want to pursue that second part, well, it looks like we need to debate it, Councillor Richardson.
Happy to debate it.
Well, can I have your amendment first, please?
So request the CEO prepare a report to Council on a proposal of introducing ladies,
Well, your first part was
multicultural.
women's.
Well, it's now women. Not ladies, women. It's, oh, sorry, wait for it to remove. Women, not, why have we got ladies, women? Are we putting women in?
No,
It's
there's
women.
a line through ladies.
Okay, sorry, I can't quite see them. We're women only sessions 4. Is it multicultural? Females and young females. We have no age definition, so I'm happy to work on the wording there. And children, female
perhaps
children.
Perhaps if I could suggest if you take out the word woman and just put females.
Happy with that?
Female-only sessions.
Happy
Then
with that,
age
Mr.
doesn't...
Chair. I don't have an issue with that, Mr.
Well,
Deputy
I'm just trying to assist, because she's now actually trying to put age brackets in to conform with the word female.
If we're not specific in putting an age group for young females and ladies or women, that's fine. I'll leave it at female-only sessions.
Is that acceptable, both the mover and the seconder, as it stands?
I think it says the same thing as previous, Mr.
Well,
Deputy Mayor, so I'm happy the way it is. Yeah, it's not an issue.
Okay, so that becomes part of the substantial motion. Did you have a question, Councillor Kiley? Any other speakers for or against? Councillor Brodovnik, for?
Well, I'm surprised at how long this is taking, really, just to nod through. It's simply a report. We're just going to have a look at a whole range of options here. We might decide to not proceed with this. We might look at the report and decide, no, we don't want to do this. But this is an opportunity to get some information before us so we have an informed discussion, make an informed decision. It's such a simple request. I think it's the least we can do is start this way with a report and then consider it at a later council meeting. And all the issues that have been raised, let's have those discussions again when we've got a report and a better idea of what's being proposed and what we can and can't do.
Speaker against the motion? Councillor Parry?
Because sometimes the principle matters more than the report. That's the major reason why that's important. Because, in fact, Australia was brought up as an egalitarian society where men and women were treated equally. That's a major fact that we have in this country, and it's a major important part of who we are as a nation. And in regards to the fact that, in regards to times and sessions, if you look in the Midland lap pool, for example, if you look at the maps given by the Swan Active Group, between 8 and 6, it's extremely busy on a Monday. 7 and 5, again, busy again. All these, and again, 8 to 6 on a Wednesday, busy. 7 to 8, busy. 7 to 8 p.m, busy again. Saturday, 8 to 4 p.m, busy. All these times are sessions that they currently have on their website that clearly state when they are busy and when they are not. Unfortunately, we have other people we need to consider as well, such as school kids in the Balladura Aquatic Centre, where majority of the people that use that facility are young children. Should we cancel out those sessions, which actually is quite a high revenue-raising exercise for us in the city of Swan, our swim schools, and take that away to support ladies only these days as well? There's to and fro's in regards to this as well in this report. I think it's quite important to remember that the principle of the matter is that the City of Swan has a higher duty of care to ensure egalitarianism in our places as well, in the fact that there are other facilities inside of Perth that have ladies-only gyms. There are many of them. In fact, I just did a Google search and I found 25 within the northern suburbs. I think that's quite important as well, that there are other alternatives that can be provided by other people and private enterprises, and if they wish to go down that path, they can. But the City of Swan needs to make sure everyone is treated equally, whether you're man, woman, child, any race, any religion is treated the same. I think that's important. So egalitarianism is the most important principle, not a report. Thank you very much.
Speaker for the motion, Councillor McCulloch.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, I think we may be splitting the hairs on the split hairs somewhere here. We're looking at this, we're looking at female-only sessions, and sessions could be an hour and a half once per week at a time that is suitable, that works within the scope of the leisure centres and what works within each centre. And we're going to see a report that will help unpack that and give us understanding as to how that's going to come about, and we can then make a decision. We can consider implications with CCTV. We can consider so many different things. Councillors, women's only, female only sessions are working really well across many local government swimming pools across Australia. We have a growing diverse population, and we know that in the City of Swan. We have huge diversity, and we celebrate the successes and the growth of these groups of people, and we celebrate the successes and the growth of a lot of our groups of women across our City of Swan. For one, the group, the Sister Project, I visit regularly, help support and have a lot to do with, and the discussions around swimming are very personal, very private, and if we start to understand different cultures, religions, and the use and the wearing of headscarves and associated dress. Swimming is one specific thing that is a very sensitive issue, and that these sessions would help support and give these women an opportunity to have a short amount of time to enjoy our leisure centres. Our leisure centres are open for everyone, but they're not open for these women because what they believe limits them and restricts them, and they have no option. So this is just to consider, this is to look at a report and take all of those great details from the report, unpack it and maybe work it to something that will really work for, yes, a minority of our population, but a part of our population that are not to be forgotten or ignored either, and that can enjoy a small amount of time that can work for everybody. I encourage you to support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Speaker against the motion, Councillor Henderson.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I can hear the keyboard warriors on this one already. Councillors, I think that we have a real problem here. This is the thin edge of the wedge. Let's say we come up with a couple of hours during the day where we have light usage of our facilities. We say, okay, we'll make that available for a special use. Let's say that happens. Then you'll be excluding a whole pile of that particular cohort of people because some of them will work. And so they'll be pushed then to say, well, why can't we have it during the peak hours? There's no end to the problem. And the point is, it's all about the minority. It's all about excluding our ratepayers in total at a specific time or a specific day. We cannot do that. We have a fundamental right to be balanced, even and straight with everyone in our community. They all have a piece of ownership of all of those facilities. They should all have the right to use them. And the fact of the matter is that we, as a council, if we were to exclude some of those, would have every reason to expect our residents to be upset about that. We are a multicultural community, absolutely. But a multicultural community is an Australian community. We should all say that facility is available to you. If you want to use it, use it. If you can't utilise that because you have specific needs, like we have people go to different churches because they have specific needs, go to those places, as Councillor Parry suggested. But to have a specific piece such as this is just the beginning of what is next. You can come out with so many different minorities. And the point I'll make about this is that we should be broadly open to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Speaker question, Councillor Richardson.
This might be to staff quite a sensitive question. I'm just wondering how staff will address in the report perhaps other residents who identify as maybe transsexual or transgender using those particular session times as well.
Mr Bishop.
Sorry, Mr Deputy Mayor, could the question be repeated? I didn't quite catch it.
I'd just like to ask how staff will address in that report how other members of the community who might relate to being transsexual or transgender, how will they be allowed to use that pool, and how will we adapt to accommodate them as well?
Through you, Mr Deputy Mayor, our interpretation of the notice of the motion is that the report will look into female-only sessions. We will obviously have to consider what we define as that, including transgender and etc., because obviously there would have to be some sort of criteria as well.
Particularly because we're looking at multicultural, how that might affect.
So just to repeat through you, Mr Deputy Mayor, we'll just have to consider that in the report as to whether that affects the criteria.
Any other speakers for or against the motion? Councillor Zanino.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Councillors, for what it's worth, I'll put my 20 cents worth in. In today's day and age, I think that we are all aware of the sensitivities with regards to equality at all levels, whether it be at work, education, or sports. Everyone needs to be aware of their surroundings and be socially, politically and culturally correct at all times. If you don't, you're leaving yourself wide open for criticism. As it already has been stated, there are already female-only centres that cater for the people that fit within that group, that don't like to be in communal centres. And there is one here in Midland that caters for that as well. So we need to be aware of these problems, and certainly as a council, as a local government, a leading local government, we need to be aware that we could be leaving ourselves open to being biased and being criticised, because at the end of the day, by approving this report, the report is to identify or separate males and females, whether it be culturally, socially, and I think that's dangerous. I think it's already there in place, it's working well, and we need to be aware of it, and I can't support this motion. Thank you.
I'll call for the last time. Any other speakers? Before I call on the Mayor to wrap up, I'll have my two bobs worth. I don't support the motion. I think it's far too open-ended, and whilst a report may will have senior staff tied up on many, many hours, because I took the advantage of contacting our manager of leisure services and just posed a few questions. And here's some of the information he gave back. Currently, we've got over 3,500 members. Currently, 3,500 members at our leisure centres. They're at capacity. So by closing or limiting the available hours that they're open during normal operational hours is only going to make it harder for members, men and women, to attend, and because we run so many activities in our centres. I'm just thinking of Beachborough Active in Altone to start with. There's males playing basketball. There's males doing gym work, as well as females. So are they excluded from going to the gym or playing basketball if we have a females-only session in the aquatic area, or vice versa? If females want to have a gym-only session, does it prevent other males being in the whole centre? Remember, that centre's attached to the library. Do they only exclude people from going to our libraries because it's a hub? The revenue per day currently is over $8,000 a day we get in membership fees going in, which is almost $3 million a year. And are we prepared to sacrifice that income that we currently have to cater for a smaller group? Now, I commend the Mayor for putting the motion up, but I can't support it. 2 years ago, I actually supported a multicultural women's group called the Ishar Health Group, who we gave a grant to.
Point of order, Mayor or Deputy Mayor.
What's your point of order,
I don't see how that's relevant. You're claiming you're going to vote against it, but then claiming you're somehow, in favour of women's issues. I don't think it's relevant.
Well, you have no point of order, Councillor Cogg. This is my debate, so I'll resume. So 2 years ago, the City of Swan provided a multicultural group who did not want to participate in normal gym activities, and we rented a private room inside the City of Swan Active Beachborough. So only they had exclusive use for it. The program went for 3 months, and then they decided that they'd most probably join as regular members. As I made a declaration tonight, I recently rejoined Swan Active Health Centres on the weekend. I've been a previous member up until November last year, and then other things in my life took over, and I haven't been for the last 8 or 9 months. But I went to Aqua Fit on yesterday. I had 2 women in that group who are obviously from multicultural both backgrounds, because they both wore swimming costumes like that. Fully head to toe, long sleeved, long legged, with a head covering on, and they were quite happy to integrate with a male and the other, or 2 males actually, and the other 5 or 6 females in the group. So where to from here? I don't believe that having exclusive use of our centres, does that mean no male staff can work at the time? We have to then perhaps put staff off or have special rosterings. I just don't think it is the right way to go, and we could spend, as I said, I took the opportunity to contact the manager of leisure services. Other issues he brought up that would have to be considered is how long is the session for? Is it a whole day? Is it at all 3 of our current centres, bearing in mind Swan Active Midlands closed for extensive renovations? That means all that extra interest group would be put on the other 2. Balladura and Beachborough are already pretty well at capacity. You would have seen the car park last night when we went to a citizenship. There's far more cars in the car park. There's men's or boys basketball going on. As I said, I think the motion is lacking on a lot of detail. I can't support it for a number of reasons which I've tried to get in this 5 minutes of debate. I've got 30 seconds left. Does that mean that the glass on the Altone Swan Active will now have to be tinted so someone walking past can't actually see into the aquatic centre? It just raises far too many questions at this stage. I'd encourage the Mayor to speak to our leisure centre staff and the executive manager to try and define and come up with a better motion or plan without having to go through this process. As I said, I just can't support it. And as pointed out by a couple of councillors, there's already a large number of ladies-only fitness gyms in the North Metropolitan area. Thank you. Mr Mayor, your right to reply.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor, councillors. Simply asked here for a report. Now, this motion came out of conversation with 2 of our Arabic lady leaders around the excitement of the commencement of construction of the Allenbrook Pool. I just want to read you some extracts of something here, councillors. Now, some of you might not have heard these words before, but these are spoken at every citizenship we have.
Point of order, Mr Mayor, sorry. The reason you have a right of reply is to address issues that came up.
I'm going to, Mr Deputy Mayor,
not to reintroduce information we haven't heard.
Mr Deputy Mayor, I am fully aware of the process.
It's to rebut the debate we have heard. Thank you.
I intend to do that, but I have to give a little bit of a precursor.
Well, I'm sorry.
Well,
I'll rule you out of order.
Well, you haven't even heard it yet, Mr Mayor.
You can rebut.
Deputy Mayor, I'd like to hear the point that the Mayor is trying to make. Thank you.
I'm sorry, but I'm just going off the rules of debate. The right of reply is to rebut what the other councillors may have said in their debate.
Right, I'll go
Deputy
down
Mayor Lucas, you brought up and showed pictures of people
as is my right.
of a range of cultures, and you gave examples on your iPad there, and I think the Mayor is simply doing the same, so I'd like to listen to him.
That's exactly what I'm supposed to do in debate, Councillor Kiley, is give examples, but the right of reply is to refute debate that came up.
And the Mayor's simply providing another example.
He's going to read new stuff, and I won't allow that.
I'm happy to head down a different path here, Mr Deputy Mayor.
Thank you.
The comment was made here that we were going to exclude people by accommodating others. Now, we regularly make statements like respect the freedom and dignity of the individual. And we believe in equal opportunity regardless of race, religion and ethnic background. We also say that we're connected and we value and celebrate the diversity of our people. Councillors, we are excluding groups of our people right now based on their gender and their ethnic background, their culture. They too are stakeholders and owners of these facilities. They have every right to be there. Now, if we're celebrating the diversity of our city, And bear in mind that 30% of our population born overseas, so we could say probably 15% of our population are female from overseas. Now, we cannot, and I don't believe that we can exclude people from facilities they own, that they are stakeholders in, whether they're a minority or a majority, based on...
Point of order, Mr Mayor. That's not a correct statement. You can't say you exclude people. They are more than welcome to join the gyms at any point of time. Excuse me, I haven't finished my point of order, Mr Mayor.
I'll make a ruling on the point of order.
Thank you.
Mr Mayor, they're not excluded because they come from a different culture.
Well, if I was allowed to, Mr Deputy Mayor, to finish the sentence...
If you can continue, and I'll give you an extra 15 seconds. Thank you.
Excluded because of their cultural background. We can't do that. We need to be all-inclusive because that's how we are. So, councillors, I ask you to have a look at how we can accommodate all of our people, all of our stakeholders in our facilities. And bear in mind our staff ratio is around about 60-40. So what we're getting down is a program and a program of how we structure our programs and how we roster our staff. Can be done. I'm not asking for it tomorrow, and I'm not asking for it next week. But I'm asking it to be how we consider everybody in our community that are all stakeholders and all have ownership of these facilities. But whether it be for cultural, religious or gender beliefs, feel excluded for facilities that we provide for all of our people.
Thank you. I now put it to the vote. Those in favour? I have Councillor Jones, Councillor McCulloch, Councillor Bailey, Councillor Kiley and Councillor Prodovnik. The motion is lost. All the others were against. Thank you. We now move on to the next item.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm just... My pages are stuck together. C1.2, Bins and Blokes Program. Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Councillor, I resolve that the City staff investigate the implementation of a Bins for Blokes program within city-owned facilities. The reason for this motion is to accommodate the health-related issues prevalent in men and the appropriate disposal of sanitary products for men in facilities owned by the City.
Seconded, Councillor Kiley. Do I have anyone against? Question, Councillor Congerton.
Question through you, Mr Deputy Mayor, to, I think it was to Mr Bishop. Just come on to you, Mr Bishop. Not you, but you, Mr Coden. Mr Coden, the officer's comment referred to approximately 70 nappy bins deployed. Microphone. Sorry. Thank you. I apologise. So the officer's comment refers to 70 nappy bins, 260 sanitary bins. The proposed bins, are they to be placed in the handicap toilets only or across all sectors of the public toilet facilities?
That would be placed in relation to this matter, they would be placed in toilet facilities in the male toilets as well as the universal access toilets.
A further question then. The implementation. The question then would be: the implementation of this program would install that in all of the toilets, or is there a provision here that the implementing a Bins for Blokes program to look at the options of handicapped and/or cubicle?
If Council wanted us to bring a report back, we could look at different options and things like that and present further information on it. That's just an indication of what the costs would be in that situation.
Then I would like to make an amendment.
Your amendment?
My amendment would be is that the City staff prepare a report on the implementation of Bins for Blokes at all City-owned facilities to include cubicles and handicapped cubicles. So, sorry, cubicles and all handicapped cubicles.
Disabled?
Well, that's what they are, I think. Aren't they handicapped as disabled?
The universal access.
Well, not on the doors. I mean, it's whatever. You understand what I'm saying.
Is that acceptable to the mover and seconder?
I don't have too many issues with that, Mr Deputy Mayor.
I don't understand the difference.
Okay. Well, the difference is previously we had a report, and this is to investigate. So which one is it? No, you either investigate doing it or you prepare a report to council to do it. I don't know why the word investigate there. We're not investigating anything. What we're asking for is a report.
I'd be happy with prepare a report into the implementation of Bins for Blokes.
So is that supported by the mover and the seconder? Then that becomes part of the substantial motion. I'll ask, is there anyone against? Being no one against, I declare it carried. And that takes us to item C 1.3, Robinson Road, Bellevue. Councillor Bailey.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. I've got to read this off the screen. The Council resolved to 1. Request an urgent briefing from the Public Transport Authority on the current and future use of Robinson Road, Bellevue. 2. Ensure that Robinson Road remains open until such time that sufficient and contemporary traffic modelling has been made publicly available and appropriate alternatively is agreed by Council. Request that the Minister of Transport prepare an integrated...
Your time's up, Councillor McNamara.
Someone of a higher authority is calling you, maybe. Okay, thank you. Request that the Minister of Transport prepare an integrated transport plan that involves an overarching review of the whole area with input provided from all stakeholders, including the City of Swan, the Shire of Mundaring, the City of Kalamunda, Bellevue Residents and Ratepayers Association, Main Roads WA and other relevant state government authorities and local ratepayer and business groups. 4. Work collaboratively with the state government and its agencies to maintain a road and rail crossing at Robinson Avenue. And 5. Add the retention of Robinson Avenue, Bellevue to the current advocacy priorities list. And the reason for this motion to ensure full consideration of all the traffic implications on surrounding roads prior to any decision being made and to address concerns for constituents and local business owners.
Could I ask you to pass that to the minute clerk, because it's quite substantially different from the notice we previously had.
Get to it today.
Once it's on the board, councillors, then I'll ask for a seconder, so you know what you're seconding, and any fors or against, any questions.
Through you, Mr Deputy Mayor, we're just putting it up on the board and we'll blow it up.
Once it gets on the board, it can be made larger. In the meantime, Councillor McNamara, it's your birthday today.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Councillor
birthday.
McNamara.
You're by. It's an Irish thing. That's to be sure, to be sure, to be sure, to be sure. Just thank you for your patience while we get the motion on the board. Thank you. Right, now I'll give everyone a minute or so to read it, and then I'll call for a seconder. So other than some spelling mistakes, which are being rectified now because it was quite hard typing on the go, do I have a seconder? Seconded Councillor Kiley. Is there anyone against? Being no one against, then I declare it carried.
Thank you, Mr.
I
Deputy.
think that completes your items. I'll hand back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Now move to notices of motion to be considered at the following meeting if given during this meeting. Councillor Kiley.
Mayor, I've submitted a motion today which looks at consulting with the whole of the City of Swan for the possibility of implementing security patrols and not just for the Ellenbrook Vines area. I'd like that motion to come before Council to look at consulting with every citizen or every ratepayer within the City of Swan and for a report to come back on that, on the cost and so forth. So potentially to go ahead with it. If we're going ahead with the Ellenbrook one, we might as well go ahead with the whole of the City of Swan. Thank you.
Councillor Calano.
Yes, well, I wanted to, I'm assuming that we don't have any report identifying risks to people and property and the environment in the City of Swan over the next 20 years. I would like to draft a motion with assistance of staff. And whilst it's quite a vague idea, but really I suppose what I'm talking about is the changes that...
Okay, Councillor, you've got 2 weeks to submit a motion. Can I suggest that you meet with someone on staff to draft that motion?
Yes,
and
I
submit
will.
it? Thank you. Mr. CEO.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just respond to Councillor Catalano. In terms of a report, we don't have a report per se, but we have a strategic risk register. Is that what you're making reference to?
Well, I don't know. It all depends on what's on it and what it's identified as potential risks for the next 20 years. So I'd have to have a look at that.
Okay. Perhaps you can have a discussion with the CEO and Mr. Bishop on that one.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other motions? Councillor Congleton.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to put forward a motion that the CEO write to the state government to look at funding the Marangaroo Hepburn roundabout in Ballajura.
Any other motions? Thank you, councillors. That takes care of all of the items in Part B. I now move to the confidential item. I need a motion to go behind closed doors. Move Councillor Parry. Second to Councillor Kiley. Anyone against? Okay, we are now behind closed doors. To ask the members of the public in the gallery if they could please leave. Thank you.